Hello, my name is Victoria Bedford of The Spiritual Hub, and I am a spiritual alchemist, helping to teach and empower the acts of inner transformation, which in turn will transform your outer life. So in this video today, I'm going to be talking to you about what healing is and what healing isn't, and the common misconceptions that we have with healing, which can lead us to feel stuck, and it can lead us to feel caught in our journey, believing that we're not getting anywhere when really we are. What is healing? Oh God, what is healing? I've really battled with this question for so long, exploring and reading and digging deep, and I can only give the understanding of what I believe healing is for me and what I believe along my practice and my journey, what healing means. My channel is talking about my experiences, my learning, and what, I'm having to really understand to not compare myself or compare my philosophies and my journeys to that of somebody else and what they mean and what they think, because actually what sits right for one person will absolutely not necessarily sit right for another, and what sits right for me or somebody else, again, won't coincide. What healing means for me is a commitment to myself, to understanding who I am. And what I teach and what I want to bring to you all is the commitment to yourself. The commitment to facing your life as now your work. There will be things that you have been through from your childhood, maybe not your childhood, from your early adolescence, maybe not your adolescence, from your younger years, whatever, there's things that you've been through. And the people that say, well, I've never really been through anything, are actually the most in denial. So I can't really focus on them. We can focus on the ones that are ready to admit that actually they have been through things, and those things in some way have impacted them. In childhood, irrelevant of our parents or how they're raising us, society, schools have all taught us to be sheep. It has taught us to conform. It has taught us to do as we're told. It has taught us to say yes more than we say no. It's taught us to put the needs of other people before our own. And in childhood, these coping mechanisms are needed. In childhood, this is okay. But the reason why we all need to learn to heal in adulthood is because those ways, techniques and behaviours do not serve us in adulthood. Constantly saying yes to our parents in adulthood, running around after them, doing everything for them, being there for them, listening to them, it doesn't serve us because it's a burden that actually we have our own life that we need to focus on. Maybe we do it with grandparents or friends, constantly feeling guilty because we can't see them enough or we're not ringing them. But what we're doing is we're taking that coping mechanism and that behaviour from childhood which served us to an adulthood where it doesn't. If we are growing up and we have had to learn to just get on with it and go to school, and you can't show emotion in the classroom, you don't want to show emotion around your friends, your dad doesn't really show emotion, or your mum didn't really show emotion, you're not really going to know how to show emotion. You're going to go into adulthood. In childhood, that served you, not showing emotion. In adulthood, you need it. You need emotions. They are so important. And if you didn't learn that, you may be over emotional and your emotions are hijacking you. either or. Healing is a commitment to ourselves, to understanding that we are the product of parental and society and teaching, and actually we now need to become a product of ourselves, a product of our own needs, a product of our own understanding, a product of what we feel is right. My parents loved Queen. I grew up loving Queen, and at some point I had a challenge. Did I love Queen, or was I conditioned to love Queen because it was all I listened to? My parents loved it. And this is what happens. The same with beliefs of so many kinds. Racism. You know, parents speak heavily from older generations on racism, which impacts how a younger generation see things. Because your belief systems, until you challenge them, until you grow, are not yours. They are everyone else's from your childhood. And when I started to realise that I could create my own belief systems, and okay, in Western society this is easier. This is easier in my culture, and I get that. This is easier in a culture that is white and that is one where self-thinking is normalised. I get that, and I know that this is not going to relate to everybody. There are going to be people, I work with people of different cultures and have to tailor that to them, but as a general, you take from this what you can. We can't change our parents. I have worked with people who have grown up in, you know, African cultured homes. Now, you're not going to be able to tell your African parents exactly how you think, because there is a long lineage of line that you have to be a certain way. You know, and there's some things you just can't change. You just can't change how your parents are. You just can't change how the society you've grown up in are, or the religion, or you can't change that. But you can change the view within yourself. You know, quite often in adulthood, people move so far away because, well, they don't realise they're doing it to escape. Or they feel agitated when they're speaking to their parents, or they feel agitated when they're having to say yes to people all the time. Healing is the commitment to yourself to understand your own behaviours. And that's not pretty. And it's a long one. And when we focus on healing and don't look at the spiritual, deeper side, we look at self-improvement. We look at self-perfection and changing behaviours and being a better person so that others can like us more, so that we can fit into society. Do you see I laugh at that. Like, self-improvement's amazing. Some books that you can read of self-improvement and focusing on self-betterment is great. But if you get caught in that trap, if you get caught in the trap of trying to improve yourself, trying to appear more palatable, trying to be less reactive because that's what suits others, you are still having parts of you in a shadow. Because self-improvement is great to a certain extent, but if you don't understand the inner part of yourself and where that comes from, self-improvement is going to be a cycle you're caught in that is going to keep leaving you feeling trapped, because ultimately you will change some behaviours short term, but long term those behaviours will creep in another way. It just, energy, it doesn't ever go away. It changes form. Anger, you try to suppress your anger and you keep your anger down, it will come out as depression. Energy changes form, it doesn't go anywhere. And that's why in previous videos I have spoken about emotional regulation. I have done a cord cutting meditation. I have spoken about feeling your emotions, because energy does not go anywhere. It just changes form, which is just as dangerous. I'm going to give you an example. If you try to be less reactive because you know that you're always, you know, sometimes you snap and you don't want to snap. And you're like, I'm snapping and I'm snapping and I'm snapping. I'm not going to be like that. Okay, so I'm not going to snap. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and deal with everything in a way that sees me really calm. Okay, so you start to people please. You end up overcompensating on the people pleasing because you don't want to snap. So you've got to try and not trigger yourself. So you'll start to appease a bit more, or you'll start to hide your feelings a bit more because you're scared of your feelings, because they often go into snapping, that you will hold them down. And months later, you will either blow up again, or you will retreat away and feel so disconnected from yourself that you will not want to be around people, because you'll just struggle to connect with them, struggle to say how you feel whilst also not blowing up. Healing is the duality of emotions. Healing is the duality of behaviours. Healing is learning to recognise that you're blowing up because you're so used to holding your emotions in. Healing is recognising that you detach from others because you're just so detached from yourself. When we start to own that there is times that we do need to say how we feel, and sometimes it may seem rude, but we need to say it. Because if we don't say it, it's going to eat us away. Now, it's how we choose to say something that is the healing part. Once upon a time where we would have blown up, now we can choose to say it in a way that delivers what we need to say, but actually doesn't shout it or doesn't get aggressive with it. We deliver what we need to say. And I do have that in a video of emotional regulation. So if you do want to go and look at that video, that will teach you some parts about how to basically start a basic journey of emotional regulation. And I will go into it in deeper videos. But healing isn't a straight line. Some people believe that when they commit to healing, when they get those bad days, they are suddenly taking 10 steps back. Or when they do a behaviour that they thought they had healed. Oh God, I've done that behaviour. Oh my God, I have not healed at all. But healing's like an onion. Healing has to come in stages. If you try to heal everything all at once, well, for one, as weeks go by and as months go by, you change and evolve. So you can't heal everything from one time and space in your life, because you haven't had any chance to evolve. You are only going to be able to heal what you're ready to heal at that stage. So it's like level 1. You couldn't suddenly jump to level 10 on Mario Kart because you hadn't built up the knowledge of the levels and the skill. So jumping to level 10 on Mario Kart, you're going to fail straight away. So trying to keep going at your healing and not recognising that there's going to be days you're really going to feel down means you're going to constantly be caught in the failure stage of, I'm never going to do this. It's never going to get any better. It has to come in stages. And those stages aren't 1 to 10. Those stages are 1, 2, 3, back to 1. But you're never back at 1 as a base. You're back at 1.1 because you already know the base level of 1, but there's a deeper part of level 1 that you need to learn. Almost like that hidden gem in Mario Kart. You know, when you go under and you start burrowing and there's all those coins. That is exactly what healing's like. You do level 1, and then as you go to level 3, it tells you, oh, here's a tube that leads you back to level 1 and gets all those coins again. Healing is allowing the journey to come in flow. So we have ideas of how healing has to be. We feel that healing has a certain rule or regulation, or, you know, us humans look at everything as linear. We look at everything as structure. We look at everything as, you know, rhythms and everything as pieces that sit together, like 1 goes with 2 and 2 goes with 3, and we always want to look for the synchronicities and everything. And there is synchronicities, but the themes of things, we always want to understand and make things logical. But healing isn't always logical. Healing is a process of flow, of just understanding yourself, and the commitment to that has to be so much greater than the need for your healing to be a certain way. If you start your healing journey and you're like, right, by the end of the year, I want to be a healed person, my life's going to be amazing, and I'm going to manifest lots of money, I'm going to dream man, you are absolutely not going to get any of that, and you are going to slip in and out of maybe depression or darker times or feeling like nothing's going to get better. Starting to understand that healing is acceptance. Acceptance of your life. Acceptance that the normal part of healing, we often show healing with crystals and chakras and the beautiful side of healing. But what we don't show is the days sometimes we're in bed. The days we cry. Yesterday was a really hard day for me, and I rested and I cried and I connected to myself. And once upon a time, I believed those days meant I was still depressed. I believed those days meant I was not as healed as I thought I was. And I've actually started to disconnect from the thought of what is healing. I've disconnected from the thought of an end goal, because the end goal in our life is death. Ultimately, that's where we're all running to, because we're running through experience after experience. And where is it leading us? Where are we running? Because you believe you'll be happier when you're thinner. You believe you'll be happier when you have more money. You believe you'll be happier when you achieve your degree. You believe you'll be happier when your business is finally stress-free. But that's never going to happen. You're never, ever going to be stress-free in life. You might be a little bit less stressed than other periods, but you're never going to be stress-free. There's never, ever not going to be things that are shoved in the woodwork or come out of the woodwork. There's never going to be a time. And people are always trying to avoid pain, avoid discomfort, numbing themselves with alcohol, numbing themselves with activities that bring short-term gain, which is like sitting in front of the TV, watching films, distracting themselves, sitting on their phones, taking cocodamol, drinking, taking drugs, going out partying, spend lots of time with friends, being as social as they can, until they keep feeling like something's missing. Because you're not connecting to what is missing, and that is the connection to yourself. When you get asked to go to that social engagement, do I want to go? I feel I should go. Okay. Well, what makes you feel you should go? There are sometimes that going for somebody else is important. We can't be self-consumed. But if going for somebody else means we have to totally go against all of our needs, it's dangerous. We constantly don't let people down on nights out or drinking or going to their house or having dinner or babysitting their children or turning up. And what that leads to is burnout, where you pull away from everybody because you're just so sick of social engagements and showing up for everyone, answering phones, answering text messages. So we're always counteracting behaviours. You go all for one and then you shut down and then you go all for the other, which means you're retreating in. Healing is taking each day as it comes with the commitment to understanding yourself. And understanding yourself means understanding how you grew up. I have got an inner child video, but having some understanding without blame. You don't have to blame your parent induced. But how can you understand who you are? And this is what I don't get. People don't want to focus on their childhoods or look on their childhoods, but how can you understand who you are? Because it's like building a block. If you don't understand the foundations, or you don't know whether they're weathering, or you don't know what colours they are, how can you understand what the top is? Until you understand where you've come from, or what you've experienced, there'll always be a little bit of detachment in you. You have to start to understand some of the core pieces of who you are. You will start to see a lot of your parents in you. You'll start to see, and that's not a bad thing. Because we are the ones that label things, understanding where you come from and recognising some of the pain that your parents have gone through, because that will be some of your pain. When you recognise some of their unhealed pain, you will also recognise that within yourself, such as a mother wound. If you have a struggle relationship with your mother, you will probably recognize that your mother has a struggled relationship with her mother, because the reason why she couldn't connect with you as a female is because she couldn't connect with her own mother. Similar to your dad. If you struggle with a relationship with your father, maybe he struggled with his mother. Lots of these have passed down. And they might not inherently just pass down to our children, but they will affect our relationships, our friendships. Healing is the commitment to yourself. The commitment to not be better, to not self-improve, to self-realise, to self-actualisation, to actually realising who you are. And that does mean coming out of denial, comes out of denial of your behaviours, because there will be behaviours that you will be displaying that are part of the problem. We so often focus on what everyone else is doing and how everyone else is behaving, what their words are, what their actions are, without actually realising that you, in turn, do behave that way too. You behave in ways where you shut down, or you don't connect, or you snap, or you hide how you feel, or you talk about people behind their back, because your outer life is a reflection on your inner life. And this may be uncomfortable to hear, but this is what healing is. It's painful. It's coming out of denial. I blamed everyone for a very long time in my life. Ex-partners, friends, all of them were toxic, parents toxic. And when I actually sat down with myself, I realised how many of my behaviours were toxic and how many of my behaviours were bringing in toxic energies, because that was what I was radiating at. And in another video, I'm going to be talking about changing your vibration. Well, I'm going to be talking about many different things. But I wanted to share with you the healing journey of understanding that when you believe you're taking 10 steps back, you're not. You're not. You need to give yourself more love and compassion. You will struggle to heal if you don't allow yourself to give yourself the love and compassion needed. If a day needs to be taken out for you to process your emotions, to feel your emotions, please take that day. Yesterday, I was supposed to make this video. I couldn't. And I could have sat and been angry with myself and procrastinated and beat myself up. But that wasn't going to serve anything. That would have just made me feel more depressed and more down. So yesterday, I just focused on yesterday. I focused on my emotions, what I was feeling. I have an autistic daughter who is hard. And part of my journey with healing myself is also healing my triggers, but also learning to let go of control of what I think I need to try and control. Your healing journey is going to raise days where those days you just need to process. And those days, I don't want you to sit in front of a TV. I don't want you to be on your phone all day. I want you to actually connect to your emotions, listen to music, allow yourself to cry. Allow yourself to feel what you need to feel. Because the more you live in denial, the more you deny these emotions, the more they will hijack you. And the more lost, the more numb, the more angry, the more agitated, the more unhappy you will feel in your own life. There's lots of hidden aspects to us. And when we commit to understanding them and recognising them and going along the journey, we will find contentment and peace in just where we are. I accept my life as it is now, with no expectations apart from goals that I create. But I don't make them so rigid that if I can't do them, I am angry with myself. I recognise, okay, am I self-sabotaging? And again, I'll bring in another video about behaviours that will come in that will lead us to feel, like not lead us to feel, but will lead us to self-sabotage. Right now, I'm just getting used to this journey on YouTube, not knowing where it's going to lead me, not even knowing why I'm doing it. Well, that's a lie. I know why I'm doing it. I know that there's information that I have and learn that can help others. But please believe me, along my healing journey, I still have aspects of comparing myself to others. What do I have to bring to this channel that no one else has brought? Well, that's not true. It's not no one else has brought it. I need to bring my personality. I need to bring my spin on things. And that's a hard one to face through healing. That we will believe, well, what do we have to offer? What do we have to give? What's the point? The point is connecting to our authentic selves to lead us to a more peaceful life, a life that connects with the right people, the right vibration, a life that leads us to be able to manifest things in our life that we are damn worthy of, because we really are. Now, I hope this video has brought you some understanding into what healing is and what healing isn't, and understanding that healing is a journey, and it's a long one. It's a lifetime journey. And don't get disheartened by that, because the journey is more important than the destination. The beauty of finding out who you are and healing each aspect as you go, learning to unravel some things about yourself, but also to piece some things together about yourself. They are the most beautiful parts of the journey that you could ever commit to. And the days that I struggle, I see how far I've come. And I know I've still got many mountains that I will reach. And I don't focus on how am I going to get there? Will I get there? I focus on each day at a time. And that is all I can tell you to focus on, each day at a time.